Hello everybody, this is Tim here again. I just recently saw the movie For Love and Monsters. It stars the kid from the Maze Runner films. Have you ever seen those? Like the main boy on there is the star. He's pretty much the star here. It's also got Michael Rooker in it. Now, pretty much this movie takes place in the future, I guess, and it's about like a meteorite that crashes on Earth and causes like all the insects and bugs stuff to mutate, which is kind of interesting idea. I mean, stuff like that's been done similar in other movies, but when I started to watch this movie, I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be like a horror comedy, really, but watching it is actually more like a comedic road journey movie or road movie. The main kid is like pretty funny the way he talks about stuff, and there's a lot of comedy in the movie and some funny scenes. He pretty much wants to go on a journey. It's been like 7 years since he saw like his childhood sweetheart, I guess, when he was like 17. It's been like 7 years later, and he wants to go find her. Which you would think if he loved this girl as much as kind of the movie leads on, that in 7 years he would have looked for her before now. But I can kind of look past that. So he goes on a journey pretty much to go find her. He like leaves his colony, who's like living underground away from the monsters. And there's not like a truckload of monster action in this movie. You can tell they had like a good budget for this movie, but not like a huge budget. So you don't get like a truckload of monster action, but you get just enough points in the movie for it to feel good enough. The CGI for the creatures, they look great, mostly. I didn't really have a problem with it. So he goes off on a journey, and you get like the best part of the movie really is he runs into this dog who like saves him from this mutant frog, and he becomes friends with it, and he just calls the dog Boy, and the dog is like super smart and like carries around this red shirt or whatever that used to belong to its previous owner. And they like journey through the wilderness together and everything. And then he runs into like Michael Rooker and this other little girl, and they try to teach him like how to shoot a bow and stuff and how to survive. And he's like he's not really a geek, but he's just kind of wimpy. And of course, his character arc is going to be the fact that he has to learn how to defend himself and survive the elements. And you get that pretty much in the movie. Um, Eventually, like there's a part where his dog is like being attacked by like this big centipede or millipede type thing, big bug, whatever. I'll be honest, I can't tell one millipede or centipede from another. But it's a giant insect, and you think the dog might get killed, but then he like mans up and saves it, shoots the thing like in the head with his crossbow. That was pretty cool action. There's like this monster though that they hint at that is gonna be like following the kid because it's like looking for his scent, and like halfway through the movie pretty much blows it up with a grenade, and it just kind of gets rode off. It's a pretty cool action scene, but it just kind of gets rode off. You get some cool tension though in the movie, like when he's with the dog hiding and like the creatures or whatever are like behind trees and stuff trying to get to him, and you wonder if it's going to get the dog and stuff, but it doesn't. His chemistry with the dog is actually great. The dog is like a really well trained animal actor. um, Now there's two ways this movie can go for the ending. Like he can go find the girl who he hasn't seen in like 7 years, and it can be like a true love fantasy, more fantasy type of Hollywood movie thing where they like find each other and they're like instantly in love. Or it can be more realistic where it's been seriously 7 years since they've seen each other. So more than likely she's probably moved on and got a new boyfriend. So they go with the more realistic thing. Where at the end he finds her in her own colony, and she's with we find out she had somebody that she did fall in love with or whatever, I guess, that died before now because it's been 7 years, and she's like leading the colony now and in charge of everything, so they really don't have a romance anymore. But you get like this human villain who's thrown in at the main end of the movie for just to have like a climax at the end, like an action climax. You didn't really need this. You could have rewritten this another way to where like maybe the creature that was like stalking him or whatever, if he didn't kill it with a grenade, like you could have rewritten it another way to where it actually shows up at the end and that's the final thing they have to fight. You could have done that, but instead they got like this human villain who's all through the movie. They make like jokes about why did he leave his colony, and everybody keeps saying, did you try to steal food? He even like this random robot he runs into is like, oh, did you try to steal food? The robot character was actually like really great voice work, and the character pretty much dies really quick because it was already dying when he found it, and its battery pretty much runs out. I would have been okay with the robot kind of like sticking around, him like carrying it on his back or whatever, because it didn't have no legs. It could have been like a comedic sidekick or something. But you get to the end, you got this human villain, and he pretty much wants to kill everybody and steal their food. And him and the dog like had a breakup moment like earlier in the film before he found his long lost love or whatever, where he's mad at the dog because it almost got him killed by accident because it went back in the water to find like the old piece of clothing that belonged to its previous owner, and he had to go save it and blow the creature up with a grenade. Another thing is Michael Rooker isn't in the movie much at all. Like, he's in part of the film where he helps like the kid learn how to shoot and take care of himself more, but then they just like break up and they go their separate ways, and he just disappears to like the last shot of the movie. I would have liked more Michael Rooker in here. When he's in here, he is the best actor, and he does kind of take charge of the movie. And so maybe it's a good thing he's not in the movie more, because you want this boy to be the main actor, and he is likable in his acting. He does a great job. But Michael Rooker does has such an impact or impression on the movie when he's there that I would have liked more of him. Just would have, because he was so enjoyable to watch. But you get to the end, and the dude is like got like this giant crab like hostage by having chains on it, and he's like electrocuting it, and he's trying to get it to kill everybody so he can make off with all the food on a boat. And the kid like remembers like something Michael Rooker told him, that not all the mutant animals are really evil. You can tell by looking at him in the eyes, and he sees that the crab is just kind of nice and tortured because it's being electrocuted. So he frees the crab, and it goes out into the water and kills the dude on the boat. Kills the villain on the boat. You still didn't really need a human villain here, and it becomes more like generic an action type movie at the end with the guy's ex-girlfriend or whatever. She's like, she can fight, and she's like fighting the dude's like second in command, who's also a girl. The fight's not bad or anything, but it just becomes more standard generic stuff. You didn't really need this kind of climax for this movie. But yeah, all in all, after that, he decides to leave and go back to his own colony, and he gives her a kiss goodbye, which, you get some romance there. And he's heading back to his own colony with his dog, who also showed up in the middle of a crab trying to attack him and saves him, which was pretty cool. He's leaving back with his dog. He goes back to his own colony, and he tells everybody that if I can survive, from not being underground, if I can survive on the surface because everybody's living underground now because of the giant bugs, then, anybody can do it. So everybody starts like migrating and stuff on land now and deciding to not be underground anymore. So it's a pretty cool ending. The dude's like walking away at the end with his colony, and he's got a dog with him named Boy. Like I said, they got great chemistry together. Like, his chemistry with the dog is better than the chemistry with his ex-girlfriend. His chemistry with his ex-girlfriend is good. The actors have good chemistry, but it's not comparable to the chemistry with his dog. But and you get one last shot of like Michael Rooker at the end, like looking at some mountains or whatever, and saying like, yeah, he can make it. So, yeah, all in all, I'd give this a 4 out of 4. It's not a perfect movie, but most of my main problems with it are in, like, the climax. All in all, I think this is a great, fun movie, and I would recommend it to people. It's got good critic reviews, and I can see why. It's an enjoyable movie. But I don't see a lot of people really talking about this film, but I do recommend it. It's worth owning and worth watching. So, thank you guys again for stopping by, and I'll see you again.